Hey everybody, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Darius Twin for the Super Nintendo, a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up by Taito, and a very, very early Super Nintendo release. Also, this is an exclusive to Super Nintendo, unlike Darius 1 and Darius 2, which was ported to various home platforms of the day. This is actually a Super Nintendo exclusive Darius game, not ripped straight from the arcade. So it's kind of an interesting little game. It's not fantastic, but it's not all that bad either. It's just kind of middle of the road, a little mediocre at places, but it's got some interesting parts to it, some good boss fights, and a massive difficulty spike towards the end of the game. I'd actually previously done a Let's Play of this game, but I didn't actually finish the game. I actually got wrecked at the final level, and so what this Let's Play is going to do is sort of correct that, show you some good strategies to hopefully help you get through the game consistently, both throughout the game itself and then at that massive difficulty spike on the final stage. I'll show you some tricks to hopefully help you get through the game consistently. So if you're brand new to this game, what I recommend you do is actually crank your lives up to 8. The reason I say that, and I don't usually do this when I play games, is that you get 0 continues in this game, and because of the massive difficulty spike on the final level, it really just causes frustration, because you'll get there, you'll get wrecked immediately, you'll just get a game over like that, and then you've got to go all the way back to the beginning of the game and go through all the easy parts just to get back to that one hard part towards the end of the game. But myself here on this Let's Play, I'm going to go ahead and just leave the lives on the stock number 3. We do get a couple of extra lives over the course of the game, I think 2 specifically, so we can actually get up to 5 lives, or maybe 4. I think it might actually use a life when you start the game, so it'll actually only say you have 2 lives left in stock as opposed to 3. So, but yeah, rapid fire is on by default. Always leave this on. This game is pretty much impossible without rapid fire, unless you're using some kind of arcade stick and you can mash the buttons really quickly. Don't recommend playing without auto fire, but if you're kind of a masochist, give it a shot. It's an interesting experience. You do have a sound test menu, actually, which is pretty cool, which is nice. I love it when games have sound test menus. Also, the game level, normal is the highest difficulty. There is no hard mode as far as I'm aware. Maybe there's a cheat code. I haven't looked into it, but it doesn't give you a hard option or anything like that, even after you beat the game. So we're going to be playing on the normal difficulty mode, and with that, let's go ahead and jump right into the game. So Darius Twin is a 2-player at the same time game, which is nice for a lot of people out there. I usually play my shmups solo, but it is an option. And one thing that's really cool about that option is your ship colors actually change to red and blue respectively, depending on the player. Whereas if you play in single player mode here, your ship is green. So, the idea of Darius is to just shoot lots of stuff and not die. Dodge the bullets, dodge the enemies, do not run into enemies. They will kill you pretty much instantly in this game, even with your shield. Do not run into walls or floors or ceilings. Those will kill you pretty much instantly as well, regardless of your shield. So, there is a floor on this first level here. You need to watch out for that. So as you can tell, in Darius Twin, you have 2 types of firepower. You've got your main firepower that you activate by pressing the Y button. You've got your secondary, which is your missiles, activated by pressing B. So all you really want to do in this game is just hold down Y and B. Because of the auto fire, you just want to keep your shots constantly going. So just hold down that Y and B, and that's it. You do have to be relatively careful in this first level, though, because there are a couple of enemies that come at you from behind, and if you slam into those enemies, you can lose your shield pretty much instantly, or even die. And lives are very precious in this game, because again, you get 0 continues over the course of this playthrough. So if you want to get through this game consistently, you need to know where the danger points are. And the danger points on this level, one is right here, coming up in just a moment. Okay, it hasn't triggered yet. I'm actually confusing this for another part. But in just a few moments, right there. That's one of the danger points right there. That guy comes up from behind. He does it at least a couple times over the course of the level. And so you really have to watch out for that. There are a bunch of other danger points in the game I'll mention as we play. And there was actually one strategy I wanted to show you here, but I actually kind of messed up because I upgraded my missile to the laser. And so now I can't show you the strategy. So you'll notice my missiles going behind me. Before, they were also going in front of me. And you can actually use that to do a quick kill on this first boss here. you can get right in his face and shoot him with your main firepower and your basic missiles. So if you want to kill this boss faster, don't upgrade to the laser. It's not a big deal if you don't upgrade to the laser. You'll upgrade it in the next level. It's not a big deal. The missiles are actually the first set of your firepower that gets upgraded completely first. So your firepower does max out, and the missiles are the first thing to max out. All you have to do on this boss is just shoot him when his mouth is open, dodge his projectiles. His big spread shot can be destroyed. His tiny little spreads cannot be destroyed. They're almost looking like spiky little mine looking things. You can't destroy those. So, welcome to the Darius grid. This is a very common thing in the Darius series, although in Darius Twin it's handled a little bit different. So, whereas in other Darius games you have 5 different end routes, kind of like an outrun, in this you only have one end route, and you can just sort of, you know, split up or down depending on the part of the game that you're at. So you don't have as much choice in Darius Twin as you do in traditional Darius games, which is a bummer. But what we're going to do here is just pick any level. The level themes, up or down, are pretty much the same, and the difficulty of them doesn't really change all that much for the most part over the course of the game. So on this first route in particular, pick up or down, it doesn't really matter. Just go whichever way you want. One of the issues with Darius Twin, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel over the years, is that the enemy designs and patterns are extremely repetitive, very repetitious, which leads the game to have a bit of a mundane feel. So you can actually end up zoning out pretty easily in this game because it's just a lot of the same enemy patterns repeated over and over and over again. And that's actually one of the big downsides to the game because, you know, regardless of what route you pick, you're going to get the exact same types of mundane enemy patterns. Which is why the route you take doesn't really matter that much unless you want to go to H, which is, you know, a unique level with, well, still a lot of the same repetitive enemy patterns, but a very unique boss that you won't find on any other route, which is cool. So, but yeah, pick whichever way you want to go. It doesn't really matter as long as you pick, you know, a route that takes you to H if you want to, you know, fight that more unique boss and go through that more unique level. So yeah, which way you go, up or down, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. So, Darius Twin, just like other Darius games, has a fairly basic power-up system where certain chains of enemies will drop power-ups. In Darius Twin, it's those little cube-shaped enemies that come in both horizontally. Well, they come in horizontally always, but they're basically separated by 2 rows. You have to destroy both rows for the power-up to drop. And that power-up I just picked up, the pink one, upgrades my main shot. The green ones upgrade my missiles. The blue ones upgrade my shields. You'll notice that my shield is sort of a teal kind of color. And that's the first level of shield. After you pick up enough shield icons, it'll upgrade to a silver shield or a gray shield. And then after I pick up so many more shield icons, it'll upgrade to a gold shield. So every level of shield absorbs more hits. And so not, you know, upgrading your shield is actually very, very important in this game, along with upgrading on your firepower. It's very easy to upgrade everything. And one nice thing about Darius Twin that you don't actually have in pretty much every other Darius game is that you don't actually lose your firepower and your upgrades when you die. So that is actually one benefit to Darius Twin, or that's one benefit Darius Twin has over most, if not all, other Darius games in the series. So now when you die and you come back out into the playfield, there are no checkpoints in this. Some Darius games are checkpoint based. This one is not. And you know, when you fly back into the playfield, you have to keep in mind that you don't have many invincibility frames. So, and after you die, you don't have a shield. You have to recollect a shield icon to get your shield back. So when you die in this game, you do have to be very careful, though. So even though you don't lose your firepower, it's actually very easy to come back in and just slam into something else and just die again immediately. Especially on some of the later levels in the game. These early levels are kind of just, you know, they're snooze fests. They're not all that interesting, to be honest with you. Not that many surprises. It's just a lot of the same repetitious enemy patterns. And, you know, over the course of the game, we do encounter a lot of the same repetitious enemy patterns, but you have other things to contend with, which we'll show off and demonstrate later on in the playthrough. So as you can see, my missiles are being upgraded very quickly. So your missiles go from missiles to lasers, and then to these sort of pink energy balls, and that should be upgraded right there. So it's the first set of pink energy balls, and I think it'll go to one more level, and then our missiles are maxed out. So we don't have to upgrade missiles at all for the rest of the playthrough. Now you can still pick up missile power-ups, but they won't actually do anything. So I was going to say something else, but my mind has actually just drawn a blank. That's usually what happens when I play Darius Twin. My mind just kind of zones out. But you don't want your mind to zone out too much when you play this. If you're trying to get, say, a 1 credit clear, which if you beat the game, you get a 1 credit clear guaranteed, because again, you get no continues in this game. Or if you're trying to get a 1 life clear, you really need to stay laser focused on this, because it's very easy to just zone out with all these enemy patterns that are just very, very samey. Darius Twin, I think, is actually probably the weakest Darius game in the entire series, and that's actually not really a bad thing, because that just goes to show how consistent the Darius series is. Like, while this isn't an amazing game, I do still have a soft spot for it, and I do still enjoy going back to it. And trying to get a 1 life clear is actually fairly challenging. You have to know a good route through the game, and you have to know what to do if you want to achieve that goal. So, but for anyone that hasn't played the Darius series, or maybe you've only played Darius Twin, I highly recommend checking out some of the other games in the Darius series, like Sagaya on Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, aka Darius 2. As well as Darius Gaiden on the Sega Saturn, and G-Darius on the PlayStation. Alright, so the trick to this boss right here is to, I like to just hug the bottom of the screen. He basically shoots out this hook, and it goes to wherever you are in the screen. And then I like to just come down here, nice little safe spot, and he shoots out 4 projectile spreads and then does his hook shot again. All you have to do is just rinse and repeat. So go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, up, just like so. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, another hook shot, just like that. 1, and there we go. That's it. Very easy boss. So if you sit in the middle of the screen, you have a greater chance of getting hit by a spread shot, but there's that nice little safe zone down on the bottom right in front of him. So what I'm going to do is I want to actually go to Patty here. I did find that these stages, despite being nearly identical, the top one is actually a little more difficult. You have more turrets to contend with, and the boss fight's a little more aggressive. The boss fights for both of these are almost the same, except that the top one is more aggressive. They're basically palette swap. The bottom one is blue, the top one is red, with the red boss being a little more aggressive. So there are slight difficulty differences between the different routes, but for the most part, you know, your routes are very, very, very similar. So there we go. You can see that our shield has been upgraded as well, so we now have a gray shield. And we're going to be using our missiles a lot to kill enemies behind us. And that's going to be a common theme for the rest of the game as well. And they're not really missiles anymore. I'm going to keep calling them missiles, but, you know, again, it's these blue energy balls. So this power-up right here, this orange power-up, is an extra life. So that's our first extra life. Unfortunately, you do not get extra lives from points in this game, which is kind of a bummer, considering you get 0 continues. So you only have 2 extra life chances over the course of the entire game. Now, our main firepower shot here is going to get upgraded in just a moment, and it's going to actually start cutting through objects and multiple enemies at once, which is very nice. Now, this guy right here, he flies off the screen, and then he comes back from behind. So you don't want to be hugging the backside of the screen. You never really want to hug the backside of the screen in this game. That's what I'm going to do, is just do some damage to him with my main shot here. Or, sorry, my rear missiles, and then get behind him. And then try to finish him off from behind. And there we go. Alright, so that's going to upgrade our firepower. So now our main gun here is actually slicing and dicing through multiple enemies at the same time, which is great. Makes the game so much easier. And this is going to upgrade to what I'm going to call the wave attack. I don't know what its actual name is, and this is it right here. But in later Darius games, it's referred to as the wave. This level of firepower will also cut through walls. It's usually a green shot in other Darius games. But this is the best weapon in the game right here, and it's going to upgrade further to become this really big shot. Now, there was an item I got on the previous level that I didn't make mention of. It's this red-looking icon inside this sort of like little cage, and that actually changes your firepower type. And now there's another one that appears later on in the game. I do not want to pick it up because then I'll lose this weapon I currently have. Alright, so for this guy, he shoots a laser out straight ahead, just like so. And he's also got these claws, and you can actually destroy the claws. So I highly recommend destroying the claws before you do anything. And what I like to do is, you know, sort of just sit slightly above him. And he likes to dash across the screen too, like that, once his claws are gone. So you have to be a little careful on this boss. He can be a little aggressive. You'll notice that his projectiles are fairly fast compared to other projectiles in the game. And his laser is really fast. His laser might actually be a little bit faster than the blue version of him on the alternate route we could have taken. But as long as you stay above him and then you prepare for his forward dash, you can just fly above him and then just shoot him in the eyes with your missiles. So again, we're going to go to level H, and let's hope we don't die here, because it's very easy to die here and then not be able to recover. You know, get a game over or something like that. I'm going to stay near the middle of the screen, but thankfully we've got this this wave shot. Again, I'm just going to call it the wave shot. And again, it cuts through multiple enemies. It also goes through walls. So sometimes you'll see turrets near the bottom of the screen, and I can actually get down below, and my shot will go through the floor and kill those turrets for me. So again, don't hug the back of the screen because you've got enemies that come from behind quite frequently. I do go towards the back of the screen, but then I make sure I go immediately back towards the middle. So I'll go to the back just for a moment, and then immediately go back to the middle to get back into the, I'll call it the safety zone. We'll call it the safety zone. So these enemies that appear at the front, these weird 5-armed things, they usually take a lot of hits. And these guys right here are also very dangerous. Even if you have a shield, their ring attacks can actually cut through your shield entirely in one hit. Even if you have gold shield. If it hits you directly, like head on, you're dead. So you have to be very careful with those things. Unfortunately, the final level has a lot of those guys appearing, which is one reason why the final level is very challenging. So like right here, I can just get behind this, get behind the floor and then shoot right through it. There are going to be some turrets that actually pop up out of the ground and shoot these blue balls up, and they're actually some of the most dangerous enemies in the level. So I'll point those out when they appear. And they should be popping up here any moment. There's our first one right there. You can sit in front of it and try to just shoot it. But you don't really want to get too close to it because, you know, its projectiles go all over the screen. And you'll notice that I actually did just take a hit from it. So my gold shield is worn down just slightly. Let's hope I can keep it for this boss, because if I can keep it for this boss, I can take it right into the next level. And I can get a good head start on that next level. So there's probably going to be another one of them right here. Yep, just like so. Try to fly over it immediately, just like that, and don't run into any enemies. You can see how things are becoming a little more challenging. And there we go, firepower upgrade, very good. Definitely want that. And there's another guy right there. Fly over, just like so. You want to fly high because its projectiles will go all the way up towards the top of the ceiling, but it's less likely than shots that are more in the mid-range of the screen. And another one right here. There's going to be a second one appearing right here, just like that, and then fly over. Don't take any hits if you can. Sometimes easier said than done. Alright, so this boss is a little trolly. He actually appears from the bottom left-hand portion of the screen, and he's huge. We want to watch out for his tentacle arm at first, and then he shoots out these big three-way projectiles that we have to dodge through. And then he's got these other projectiles that split up from the bottom. You want to get rid of the tentacle arm first. Fortunately, this guy doesn't have a lot of hit points. But you've got to watch out for these projectiles. In my opinion, this is the hardest boss in the game. It's the easiest to die on him. As you can see, you got the projectiles from the bottom coming up. Really got to watch out for those. And there we go. That was actually a really solid boss fight. I took a couple of hits, but because I've got the gold shield, you know, I can absorb a lot more hits. And then so what we're going to do here is actually take the bottom route, because there's a boss here called Great Thing, or I think it's Hyper Great Thing in this game. Great Thing is a common boss in the Darius series, and actually quite a few of these bosses are featured in other Darius games. And but Great Thing is usually a very, very tanky boss. But in Darius Twin, with this power-up, you can make very, very quick work of him. And this is that upgrade I was talking about earlier. It changes your weapon type. I do not want this. The Darius series has a tendency of trolling you with the firepower system. And the maxed firepower upgrades that you can get are oftentimes worse than lower level upgrades. So that's true for Darius Twin, just like it is for, say, Darius Gaiden. So with this wave shot here, again, we can keep cutting through objects. If I had picked up that weapon change, I would no longer have the benefit of weapons cutting through, you know, solid objects. That yellow pickup I just grabbed is actually a screen-clearing bomb. It actually only appears a couple of times over the course of the game, depending on the route that you take. And it's pretty much useless. It's just there just because, you know, and like, the time that it appears on this level, there aren't any enemies on screen for it to really do much. So, it is what it is. So there we go. Grabbed another shield power up. I'm feeling pretty good about the rest of the run. This is an extra life again, so we definitely want to grab this. Gotta go ahead and just, again, sit towards the middle of the screen. And we're gonna have to go ahead and squeeze our way through this. That's a little tricky. One of the trickier parts in the game. Yeah, despite Darius Twin being a very repetitious shoot-'em-up, there are some tricky parts in the game that you do have to be aware of as you're playing, if you want to survive. And just squeeze through here, like so. Nothing special. Getting very close to the boss fight. Another missile power-up. It actually looks like you do get some points for picking up the missile power-ups, even though we're already maxed out. So that's good. And you notice that the game is starting to stack multiple enemy patterns at once. And it's boss time. Unfortunately, I haven't upgraded my my main firepower completely, which is odd. Normally it's maxed out by this point in the game. So this is going to actually make the final level a little bit trickier. I must have missed a power-up somewhere. But for the start of Great Thing here, I like to sit just slightly above him. And you just want to sit slightly above his blue forward shot. Just like so. And I like to sit up here just to get some you know, some extra hits. If I had the other firepower, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm going to come up here just like so, and I want to get right in front of him to do some damage again before he goes back into his laser pattern. And there we go, he's dead. The music didn't even finish. That's how fast we killed him. It's got a decently length music track on there. And we didn't even let it play out all the way. Alright, so take a deep breath. Alright, this last level is a major pain. So my trick here in this level is to sit at the bottom of the screen, just like so. And then just try to kill these guys slowly, safely. Notice that these big fish here, they like to slam you towards the left-hand side of the screen. There are a couple of guys that come from behind. But again, my goal is just to sit down towards the bottom of the screen. And the nice thing about not taking a hit on Great Thing is I get to go into this stage with a shield. There are no power-ups on this level. So if you don't have a shield going into this, you know, it's one-hit kills from here on out. Let's go ahead and just... I really want to kill that fish. There we go. And then kill these squid-looking things. Sit at the bottom, just like so. We're going to let him charge across the screen, just like that. And the trick of this level is just to take your time. Do not rush to kill everything. There is no timer in this game. Enemies stay on the screen for, you know, extended periods of time. So it's all about playing safe here. And what I could do is actually, you know, get towards the middle to try to kill this crab thing. Just like so. I don't think any more enemies are going to come back from the backside of the screen. And there's probably going to be another crab coming down from the top. Just waiting. Just waiting. No! Okay, wow. We have a really great chance of getting a one life clear now. This guy is actually really easy. This is a surprisingly easy final boss. So what we want to do is just loop around just like so. And there's going to be a turret that shoots out a spread shot towards the bottom of the screen. Very easy to avoid. You can see him blinking right here. And what I like to do is just get up front like so. Destroy the turret. And then enemies are going to come down from behind again, just constantly like so. And I'm actually really surprised my main weapon isn't fully upgraded. But still, we were able to get through this level even without it being fully upgraded, which is good. But you can probably see why we want to keep this shot. Because it's very powerful, it keeps cutting through multiple objects and enemies. If I had the other weapon, I wouldn't be able to hit this fish's turret at the same time I was hitting the enemies that he was spawning. Because the enemies he was spawning would absorb my projectiles. Whereas this weapon, it goes through everything. What we want to do is just hit this guy in the face. And he should die actually very, very quickly. Another absurdly easy final boss. Just like so. And we just got ourselves a one life clear on Darius Twin, folks. Much, much better than my last Let's Play of it from many years ago. So this ending text goes away in about 5 seconds. So take a screenshot to read it, or go back on the video and pause it. It's one of the nice things about internet video is you can actually pause it. Whereas back in the day, you would have had to beat the game about 7 times to be able to read that full text, or have a camera up as you play. So, but yeah, that's Darius Twin, guys. We finished it. Great playthrough, I'd say. We didn't die once, and if you're trying to beat this game yourself consistently, just follow the tips that I gave you in this playthrough. Follow the same route if you want to play the final, or play the hardest boss in the game, which is on the H route, or pick a different route, because some of the other routes are easier. So start with the other routes before you go to the H route, and then, you know, work your way up to going the H route. So yeah, again, the final level, it's just all about sitting towards the bottom of the screen. It's a fairly good safety zone, and just take your time, and don't rush killing all those big enemies there. So, but yeah, that's Darius Twin on Super Nintendo. I'm going to look up some other stuff in this game, see if there are any other hidden options or anything like that I don't know about. Again, it's not a bad game. I wouldn't call it a great game, but I do have a soft spot for it, especially now that I've, you know, gotten multiple one life clears on it. And it's fairly satisfying to go through if you're aiming for a tough clear, like a one life clear. So, but that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. For anyone curious, I do have a Let's Play of G-Darius, which I posted a few weeks back. I do want to try to cover some other Darius games on my channel, so stay tuned for those as well. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. I've got a lot of Let's Plays here and many, many more to come. For everyone already subbed, thank you for your continued support. If you guys liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It actually helps me out a lot. It helps my videos get discovered by other folks that like these types of playthroughs. And yeah, that's going to do it for me, guys. So with that, have yourselves a fantastic day or night wherever you are in the world, and until the next one, take it easy.